turning out to be a beautiful morning at sea on board the Carnival celebration as we made our way to San Juan, Puerto Rico. You know you're getting close when the pilot boats come alongside, so I quickly grabbed some breakfast and some coffee and got ready for my day in Old San Juan. My second visit to this port, my plan was to explore this fortress, the Castillo San Felipe del Morro, as well as the historic district of Old San Juan. I'd done a walking tour excursion on my last visit, but today I'd be on my own. San Juan Bay is a busy port area. It's also very historic. Cruise ships and shipping barges today, but these are also waters where captains like Sir Francis Drake tried a naval siege on the fort and where pirates actually sailed. Our ship moored at the old San Juan piers, and after a quick walk through the embarkation port building, I was on the street. My walking plan for the day was to take the Paseo de la Princesa to the Fuente Reyes fountain, enter the San Juan gate, hike up to Morro Fort and explore it a bit, and then walk back through historic Old San Juan, where I hope to find the Cathedral of San Juan Bautista and tour it as well. It was early in the day, but already hot. I was glad I brought 2 bottles of water, my sun hat, and my sunscreen. I appreciated some shade as I walked past the old prison, now a tourism office, and I tried to imagine this place and how it had changed since 1496 when the Spanish started to build here. Over 500 years of ships, trade, battles, and then millions of people like me, visitors enchanted by this beautiful place. Approaching the San Juan Gate area, it reminded me a little of the walled city of Rhodes and a little of Fort Jefferson in the Dry Tortugas and a little of the city gates in Jerusalem. Adding this place to my travel experiences, I smiled despite the heat and the sun, thinking how absolutely amazing this big, beautiful world is, and how I've never regretted my decision to start exploring it 5 years ago, even if most of the time I'm exploring solo. The fort was finally in sight, and after a quick stop to have a drink of my water and reapply my sunscreen, I was off. I had already walked about 2 miles as I had meandered through the old city, but it was also good to stretch my legs a bit after being on the ship. People were already setting up picnics in the grassy area around the fort, and kids were running around and laughing, flying kites in the coastal wind. This is a fee site, and at the time of this video, admission to the fort was $10 for each adult. I had purchased previously an America the Beautiful National Parks Pass, and I was able to use it here to get in. Here's a quick look at the current pricing. Now let's take a little walk around the fort. Places like this, I often find myself thinking of the people over the vast history of the place who lived and worked here. And I have questions. These vigilant and disciplined soldiers, did they ever see the beauty here? Did they scan the horizon right where I was standing, looking for warships or pirates or incoming storms? On days like this, fighting, which was louder, the crashing waves below or the cannons? I wonder if any of those men ever imagined that their regimented fort would one day be filled with foreign visitors like me, and the field would be full of picnics and laughing children. There's a reason this place is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. For 2 centuries after it was first commissioned by King Charles I of Spain in 1539, it was added to and reinforced, and today it looks much the same as it did in 1787. It was a strategic place to protect the bay, with some walls over 25 feet thick and 6 different levels. El Morro had been successfully defended through many, many battles. The battles of San Juan of 1595 and 1598 against the English, 1625 against the Dutch, 1797 against the British, and then finally in 1898, the U.S. flag was raised at the end of the Spanish-American War. While the stairs down to the outer sea-facing front of the fort were open, I saw several people struggling to make it back up the stairs in the heat, making it impossible for the people behind them to get out of the sun and the heat themselves. There's just no room to pass. I skipped it and started to find my way out. Tried to get there early in the day because as I left there was a long line of people waiting to get in. As I made my way back toward Old Town, I peeked over the wall at the nearby Santa Maria Magdalena Cemetery, but I didn't peek for very long because I noticed some gentlemen were preparing for a funeral at one of the tombs. The whole area for me was a place that really spurred my imagination and made me think a lot about the history of Puerto Rico and everything that had happened here in the last 500 years or so. I'm thankful this has been restored and maintained. I enjoyed visiting it. I stopped a few times on my search for the Cathedral of San Juan Bautista and drank some of my water while I admired the island architecture. And then there it was, the Cathedral of San Juan Bautista, originally built in 1521, making it the oldest church building in the U.S. or the U.S. territories. Inside are the remains of Ponce de Leon, explorer, as well as the earthly body of Saint Pio, a Roman Christian martyr who was killed because of his faith. The saint's mummy, covered in wax, is on display in a glass coffin inside the church. Finally heading back to the ship after several hours and almost 6 miles of hiking. I was hot and tired and thirsty and happy. Days like this one are why I travel the world. I got to have a brief look at a very interesting place. I met several kind local people. I got another notch on my self-reliant solo traveler belt, and I made it back to the ship on time and in one piece. It was a good day, and I hope one day to return when I have more time to explore.